What's up, my vet bros and vet broads? How's everybody doing out there today? This is Lopez here, the host of the On the Gun Line podcast, as well as the friendly neighborhood vet bro, D'Lo, the vet bro. You heard of Larry the Cable Guy? Well, I'm D'Lo, the vet bro. Check this out, y'all. I wanted to take this time just to come on here for a few minutes. First of all, to thank all the subscribers. Thank you very much. We hit 200. We're at 201 now. And that's a big milestone for me because I've been doing this now for 3 years, going close to four. And because of the content I put out, I don't get pushed out very much, but it's cool. We're making it happen together organically. So thank you so much for that. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but hey, you can't please them all. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, who am I? I want to just introduce myself to those that are new to the channel. Um, I am the host of the On the Gunline podcast. All right, the On the Gunline podcast is main, uh, the main platform. Okay, so that was a podcast idea that came up through one of my old NCO staff, Sergeant Juarez, who had a podcast idea where he would like want to interview veterans and military service members or family members and just talk about their experience and how the military has been per se. So anyways, he asked me to be a co-host and I said, yeah, no doubt, I'm all about it, roddy, right? So fucking I started coming up with like segments that I would want to do. So this was like in December and January time frame, and we were supposed to start off in January so of 2019. So it would be January 2020 that we're supposed to start. So I started making segments of it. One was called Smoking and Joking, and the other segment was called On the Gun Line. Smoking and Joking was going to be me and him sharing stories about each other, or like shit that we saw out there, and some dumb shit, like lieutenants getting lost and whatnot, just dumb shit like that. And then there was going to be On the Gun Line was going to be the next segment, which is going to be conversations that you would have on the gun line. And if you've ever heard my podcast, the conversation on the gun line can go from anything from Jody, being over at your house to, picking up a Craigslist prostitute, finding out that she only has one leg and nine toes. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So those are it goes from anything in there, politically, racial, all that stuff, and it was always in jest, it was always in fun, and it was always unedited, unfiltered, and uncensored. All right, that's the way I like to pretty much portray the On the Gunline podcast. And since it is in that type of format where we just free to be ourselves, what ends up happening a lot is we say things that can get us not pushed out. It'll keep us pushed down. How dare we not be politically correct? So whatever. Anywho, I appreciate y'all being here with me right now. So far, it's been 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I haven't done my plugs yet. Make sure you go ahead and do a like, a subscribe, or a dislike. Put in a comment. Let me know what I can do better, because all I can do is get better. I'm not going to stop this. That's just not going to happen. But I can only get better by your feedback. Okay. So, anywho, I've done 295 episodes, I think it is total of the podcast, and I'm sure there's more because a couple I had to delete, mainly out of respect for some of the guest wishes. So I went ahead and deleted them. With that, I here's the thing: I don't censor, I don't filter, I don't edit. So whatever you say on this platform is going to be put out in the universe. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it should be, and that's what I missed when I came out into the civilian sector. All right. So, anywho, that's where the podcast idea came from, and I call it my therapy without the therapist. All right, that's what I coined. A lot of people that have interviewed, when we talk about their experiences, afterwards they tell me like, "Hey, man, that was like a very therapeutic. I feel a lot better." Blah blah blah, and they want to redo it again. So, if you're one of those people that want to come on and jump on the gun line, hit me up at onthegunline@gmail.com, or put it in the comments like saying, "Hey, Lopez, hit me up," or on TikTok. I'm also on OTGL or Gunline Chief. You can find me at OTGL _podcast. Facebook and IG are on the Gunline podcast. If you go to on the Gunline podcast or on the gunline.com, there's links to the places there. All right. All right. There's 5 minutes in, and let's get that out of the way. So, again, who am I? Well, my name is, again, Staff Sergeant Danny Lopez, retired United States Army after 10 years, 3 combat tours, one in Mosul, one in Baghdad, one in Afghanistan. Not exactly in that order. It was actually Baghdad, Mosul, Afghanistan. I was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas from 2005 to 2007. I was stationed in Korea from September 2007 to September 2008. I was stationed in Fort Stewart from 2000 and October 2008 to January 2011, and then I retired out of Fort Carson in February 2015, but I got there February 2011 through February 2015. All right, those are the timelines there. Um, Maybe we get into it deeper another time, but that's where I was at. I was in Camp Hovey, Korea. Had a lot of fun out there. A lot of fun out there. And I'll tell you what, being in the military, it's a unique experience. All right, it's a very unique experience, especially when you come in during a time of war, knowing you're going to go to war. That's something that I was looking forward to. I knew that I wanted to go to war. That just if no if ands or buts about it. You know, um, I mean, I came in 2004. What's crazy is I wanted to join the military since I was a kid, since I was a little itty bitty kid. I wanted to join the military because I had one brother, Robert. He joined fresh out of high school in the 80s, early 80s, and was a Marine. So, seeing him in that uniform, done so. And he was a jet plane mechanic. Then my brother Ed joined the Marine Corps in '88, and he went to the Gulf War, and he was a tanker. So he would send me pictures and video. Well, not videos. He would send me pictures and write letters to me about the war. He was in the battle that liberated Kuwait in the airport. So I was like mesmerized by all the shit that he would like tell me. He was my hero because he went to combat. You know what I mean? And so I was in awe, of wanting to be in the military. Um and then my brother Ramiro, he joined the army just shortly after the Gulf War. He joined mainly more out of the to better himself, which he in time he did. He did. So Ed wanted to be a Marine because he saw Robert, who was a Marine. So, it was only natural I wanted to be a Marine. Unfortunately, just so I guess I give you a little background on myself now. I was uh I was raised in Los Angeles, not in the greatest area. I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. If you know the area of South Central, I grew up on or about 80. Okay, I grew up on 87th and Main, between Main and Broadway. I'm sorry, 87th between Main and Broadway. So it's not the greatest area, especially back in the 80s and 90s. It was tough. It was a rough area. A lot of black folks, sprinkled with a couple of Mexican families here and there. And I thought I was Mexican because, well, everybody who looked like me was Mexican. You probably thought I was Mexican. I'm actually Central American. Well, my family comes from Central America. I'm American, and I will always say that I am American first, nationality, right? But anywho, I always wanted to join the military. Unfortunately, growing up where I grew up and being the way that I was, as a kid, I always wanted to belong. Belonging is something that I think a lot of us wanted to do. So, I started hanging around. My brothers my older brother, my first older brother. Okay, so I had some brothers that may or may not have been involved in, the street shit, the G life. And I kind of looked up to that. You know what I mean? Because their friends were in that life, and the friends I was growing up with were also steering towards that life as well. So, anyways, I started off, just like pretty much a lot of us were just starting off tagging, being little taggers and shit. And then, from there, just wanted to a little more riskier, I guess, hardcore, more respect. So I ended up getting involved in other things, neighborhood wise. And when it came time for me to want to join the military, and well, not time, I ended up getting busted. And in '97, I caught a case. And long story short, it was a felony. And with that, being that it wasn't a violent felony, I still had an opportunity to try to get in. So I went to the Marine Corps, but they told me no, flat out from the get go. They're like, "Nah, you can't do it, man." I was like, "Look, I just want to drive tanks." They were like, "Nah, we don't care. You don't have a high school diploma," because I only had a GED at the time. And that was through Job Corps. That's another story for another day. If you guys ever want to hear that, Job Corps was like my college years. Anywho, so the Marine Corps said no, unless you go to college for a semester and get some college credit, we're not gonna let you in. Even if I just wanted to fucking do tanks, bro. So fuck them, whatever. I went to the army. The army was like, "So what do you want to do?" And I was like, "They had this big ass poster, bro, and it had tanks on it. And Ed was a tanker, and I wanted to be a tanker. That's the whole thing. I wanted to be a tanker because my brother was a tanker. Well, they were like, "Yeah, they had like the armored cavalry, they called it on that poster. I still remember it." And they were like, "Do you have a GED, a high school diploma?" I got a GED. Like, oh, okay, cool, cool. I don't. It's gonna be a little difficult for you to get in because you only have a GED. I'm like, okay, okay, no problem. But you have to score X amount on the ASVAB in order for you to qualify to join the army. Now, this is back in 1999. All right. Um, and then they were like, "Do you have any tattoos?" And I said, "Yes." So they were like, "Let's see what you got." So I took my shirt off, and they saw what I had. I had my neighborhood written on my collar, on my shoulders, on my right arm. And long story short, they asked if we took pictures of that and sent it up to headquarters of the Department of the Army, would it be recognized? Yes, it would. Unfortunately, it is a very well known and established neighborhood. So they told me then, no, we can't do it unless you start covering those up, and then come when they're healed and you can't see them because if not, you'll be permanently disqualified. I said, oh, fuck. Well, I was, what? It was 1999, so I'm 20, 21. Yeah, because 97 I turned 20 in 97, 21, 98. Yeah, so I was 21 or 22, whatever. Look, I'm not great at math. Anywho, what ended up happening was like, no, I'm not doing that, because it's a no. You're not gonna cover up your neighborhood. So anyway, like fuck that. I'll just continue. I'll go to the school right here called UEI, and I became a dental assistant. So I became a dental assistant. I did that for a couple of years. And then in 2000 and shit, what was it? 2001, when the towers fell, right? That was 2001. Um, I felt, I really felt that I was getting close to that point where I was either going to either end up buried or behind bars. I was just one fucking sneeze away from being in one of those two slots. So I remember standing outside of the house, right there, my house. I was at on 87th, and I looked towards Broadway, and I looked towards Maine, and I'm looking at all the hit ups of the neighborhood on all the light posts, and I'm just looking around like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I gonna do in my fucking life? Because I was working warehouse jobs before that, and then I was working. I started working as a dental assistant, right? So the problem was like, every time I was on that fucking bus on because I had to write the MTA. MTA now, the RTD back then. I had to write the RTD, and I worked in HP, which is Huntington Park, and that's all Florence Hood, not my greatest friends. And so I'm taking the bus, taking it all down Gage to get off on Broadway, and then Broadway all the way down to get to my neighborhood. So it was fucking rough. Or I'd have to walk all the way down a fucking anyway. Long story short, it was just getting dangerous, and it seemed like my days were numbered, bro. And not only that, just things were just hopping and popping back there on the block. Anyway, so what ended up happening, I told my mom, like, I need to get up out of here, mom. If not, I think shit's gonna go bad. So she's like, all right, well, where do you want to go? Because I had a sister who lived in Miami and I had a brother who lives in Washington. And I'm like, well, if I go to Washington, it's gonna be pretty much the same lifestyle that I'm having out here in LA. So let me try Miami. So sure enough, I moved to Miami, bro, in 2001, and then the towers fall in September. I got there in February. The towers fell in September. Then the war kicked off in 2002. And then I had a really good close friend of mine who had a similar background to mine, that he got in trouble as a youngster and had a felony and whatnot, but had a recruiter that would work with him. So what ended up happening was I ended up going to see this recruiter, and I told him about my past. Like, look, man, this is my past, and these are my tattoos. Um, can you still get me in? Because I know you guys need bodies. It was the war had just kicked off over in what's that place called? In Iraq. It kicked off already in Afghanistan. It already kicked off in Iraq, and then it was 2004, and I was trying to get in because my homeboy got in, the one that had the same similar background to me. I told him, look, I only got a GED. I told the recruiter, he's like, okay, that's not a problem. I can work with that. And then I told him, look, I went to Job Corps. Does that help? He's like, oh yeah, that helps out too. We got a thing with Job Corps. You just need to score X amount on the ASVAB and cover up those tattoos. Show me that you're interested by starting to cover them up. And I had to think about that one again because now I'm a little bit older now. I'm 25, I think, at that time, and I'm like, they're gonna give me an opportunity to do what I want, which is be a soldier, be in the military, serve my country. But I have to cover up something that made me who I was. I was part of my life. So I had to make a decision. Do I keep the tattoos that are going to hold me from becoming the man that I want to be? And I said, all right. So I started getting my tattoos covered up. Started with my collar, shoulder, arm, everything. So it sucked balls, man, because, those. Anyways, if you know about tattoos in neighborhoods, whatever. But they gave me the opportunity to join the military, and I rocked on with it. I ended up becoming a 13 Bravo Cannon crew member, and this was back in November 2004 through March 2005. Went through one station unit training, and from there, I just went with it, man, 100%. And I'm gonna be right now completely transparent with y'all. This is like the third time I record this because turns out that the first two times, the first time it was interrupted by my daughter. The second time it was interrupted by my microphone that apparently came out and nothing recorded. So I don't know how much I've talked about or what I've talked about because I don't keep notes. I just go off the cuff. So anywho, yeah, that's pretty much a little bit about me, man. D'Lo the Vet Bro, also the host of the Under Gunline podcast. I am a hater of low standards. Those here that watch me for D'Lo the Vet Bro, hey, you guys are gonna be my vet bros and vet broads, and we are gonna be the vet bro militia. And I'm thinking about making shirts, man. Let me know what you think of those. Anyways, with that being said, that's all I got for today. I gotta go pick my son up. I want to thank you though, seriously, for giving me the 200. Hopefully, we'll hit that next. My next milestone is to hit 500. So hopefully, we'll hit 500 next, and it'll be quick. I want to get this thing to start getting monetized because I don't have a job. This is gonna be my full-time gig here, and if you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down, dislike. Let me know what I can do better. If you want to come and kick it with me on the podcast on the gunline at gmail.com, send me a message there like, hey, man, I'd be down to go and kick it with you. I'll work around your schedule. Okay. The podcast is now going to be more centralized to where it comes out every Tuesday. So every Tuesday, there will be a podcast coming out. And then as far as like the reactions, I don't know how I'm going to go about that. I'm still working on that, y'all. So bear with me on that. And yeah, I appreciate you guys supporting me. As you can see, there's a little ticker at the bottom. If you guys want to support me there, cool. If you don't, cool. You know what I'm saying? This is, again, this is like my therapy without the therapist. So I enjoy this. Hopefully I make y'all laugh too, man. That's the point. Hopefully the reaction videos won't be longer than maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops. All right. Um, Depending on the content itself. The other ones that went 40 minutes is because they were about an hour long each show. So anywho, with that being said, I gotta go pick my son up, and I guess I'll just end it like I do with the other ones, with the regular podcast. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. This is D-Lo the Vet Bro. Rounds complete. Gun line out. Deuces, y'all. Hey, turn this shit off.